Hey there, in this video we're going to talk about a batch of cymbals that as of the posting of this video is now available on my website, and we're going to talk about the Chicago Drum Show, which is coming up in just a couple weeks. So I've been hard at work making as many cymbals as I can, trying to get ready for the Chicago show to demonstrate the cymbals at the show, as well as at the Cymbal Summit, which is happening the day before the Chicago show. For better or worse, I picked out a set of extremely special cymbals. I took ones that I was originally intending to bring to Chicago. I put a batch together because I figured if you can't come to the Chicago Drum Show, you should at least have the option to choose from the best of what I've made over the last few months. And so I picked a batch of 8 cymbals, and I'm very, very proud of them. I picked a couple from a new series that I just recently launched. If you followed along for a little while, you know I did the Redux project. The Redux project is all about making cymbals inspired by other cymbals. I called it the Redux for that reason. I didn't want to go with clone or tribute because I think those terms are overly used. No problem with anyone else that likes them. They're just not for me. And after that project, I really learned a lot through doing that project, and I made like 15 cymbals based off of one cymbal that I made that was based off a different model, and it was, you know, it's kind of a never-ending stream of inspiration, if you will. And since then, I've decided to start a new series that I'm calling the Signature Series, and it is based off a concept that I haven't seen any other cymbalsmith do. I'm sure others have done their version of this, but over the years I've developed this layering process whereas I'm shaping the cymbal, then I'm lathing it, then I'm going back to hammering and back to lathing, and sometimes even back to hammering again before the final lathing. And so it creates this layered effect to the bronze where you have topography, and then you have tonal grooves, and then more topography, more tonal grooves. And it gives you the ability to go with lower shapes that still retain stick definition. Lower shapes are going to have a lower fundamental pitch. They're going to kind of open up in an interesting way that almost is like a pitch bend up. So if you've ever heard like a growly, like kind of sound, usually that has to come from a lower shape. When the shape gets taller, the profile gets taller, you get a higher pitch crash that tends to just hit at that higher pitch and then dip. These lower shaped cymbals, you know, flat profile cymbals tend to have this kind of gong-like, china-like kind of sound. Sorry for the interpretation. I should just play a cymbal that has that sound so you could hear instead of listening to me try to do it. But anyway, so the Signature Series is really about capturing the greatness of a low-profile cymbal with the stick definition of something that's a little bit taller, kind of the best of both worlds. So I have 2 cymbals. I believe it's just 2. Yeah, just 2 cymbals from this series in this new batch. Both are 22s. They are both wildly different while still kind of having that same concept I was just talking about. And so this one right here is a 22 that has a larger bell. It weighs 2,438 grams, medium-low shape with no crazy hooks or anything in it. And man, it's an awesome cymbal. I love it. These cymbals have a more loose tension to them, so they kind of have a wobble, and they also open up on the crash really nicely. They have high frequencies that are very present as well. So sometimes with those taller shapes, you get into that umbrella ka kind of zone, and some of the really, really high frequency stuff gets kind of notched. And I find that that stuff is really important and necessary in a lot of cymbals to get them to cut well or translate well. You want to have this kind of like sparkly, shimmery top end to the sound, because that gives it dimension. If that stuff gets notched out, you kind of end up with this low, muffled kind of thing that sort of sounds like this in a cymbal version. So that's what's really great about these cymbals. This is the other one I got. This is a small bell. It's not quite a half flat, but it's close. And it weighs 2,459 grams. So wait, yeah, 2438, 2459. This one's a little bit taller actually. Yeah, it's actually a little bit taller, but it still retains that character and has an awesome, awesome crash. I love the crash on this one. This one is definitely a vibe cymbal. If you watch the video from a week or two ago, it doesn't have much of those chorus of tones. It's got so many tones that you can't pick any out, and it's just very complex, very loose. So it's taller, but it's a lot looser. So has a nice like pillowy kind of feel, which I love that for a nice alternate ride. It might not be the best main ride, but as far as kind of even pairing these two together, they work great, I think. So that's the Signature series. This series is very much in its infancy. You know, I've had the series like the Labyrinth and the Landmark for years, and those series tend to develop and change over time. So I don't lock those in ever. I like to be able, I give myself the creative freedom to evolve those series. So this being in its infancy will most certainly evolve over time, but I'm excited for the initial sounds that I've got from these. So beyond that, I've got two, maybe three, no, it's two really great Landmarks. So speaking of series that I've had for a while, the Landmark series has been one that I have developed quite a bit over time, and the initial inspiration was some Spizzichino rides, particularly Brian Blade's cymbals. Landmark being a nod to his album with the Fellowship Band. Since then, it's kind of evolved and changed over time to be a little bit more about like medium low shapes. So you get like a lower fundamental, good amount of topography, not quite low like the Signature series, but kind of medium low. And so it gives you a nice lush, warm sound, and you get a nice clear stick definition on top. So I have one on this side right here. My right is 2,422 grams, kind of in that medium thin range, and then I have one in a medium range, 2697, and I love the way these things sound. You know, this 2,697 gram cymbal, it's crashable. That's the thing about these medium weight cymbals that I love, is they are very, very good on gigs. You can take them to a variety of different style gigs, different genres. You can play a big band gig with that cymbal. You can play a rock gig with that cymbal. The bell is super, super clear. Whereas the one on this guy being a bit thinner, it's lower pitch and more integrated into the sound of the cymbal. This is a little bit more separated. Yeah, I love cymbals like this. I really think drummers need to start getting hip to those heavier cymbals. At least the drummers that are really into the niche of independent cymbalsmith cymbals. We tend to like really dark, low, thin, floppy things, but it's really good to have a variety of colors and variety of styles of cymbals so you can really pull the cymbal you need for the type of gig that you have. So those are the landmarks. Then I have one other 22 that's a Labyrinth. And for those keen-eyed in the audience, this is the one from my video the other week about vibe or voice. This is the voice style cymbal. It's a Labyrinth, 2,391 grams, 22, medium tall, almost tall shape. And I really dig this one as well. Has a little bit of this chorus of tones. It's crashable. It's not clangy. Plenty of stick definition. It's a great all-around ride if you like taller shapes. Taller shapes can get you in the zone of having weird hums and gnarly notes to navigate, but not that one. All right, and so the other three, see I did 5, so the other 3, here let's change them up. I got 2 20s and a set of 14-inch hats. I picked 2 very interesting 20s and actually a very interesting set of hats too. These are special ones, I think. I was really planning to bring these to Chicago, but I felt like let's put them in the batch. So the one in this position here is a 20-inch Prism. I love the Prism series. The Prism series is my take on what an old K would have been like when it was new. So brilliant finish, or at least a clean finish, and they have a nice brightness to them, whereas the Tributary series has the heavy patina on it to kind of help simulate what age does. This is like a brand new K. If you were able to transport yourself to 1950 and pick out one of the good ones, which were rare, topic for another video, one of the good ones, and get one in the right weight range. So this one is 1,989 grams, 20-inch Prism, medium low shape. This one is one of the best. Oh, look at that. My watch just gave me the definition of Prism. So cool. Here we go. You got a nice low, mellow wash. You've got high-end, top-end frequencies that are really nice and kind of dance on top. This one has a hand-formed bell. I love that one. It turned out really great. The other 20 is a really weird one that might just be the cymbal for one of y'all out there. Who knows? This is a 20-inch Labyrinth, 1,698 grams. Very, very, very thin. And it is interesting because I had to wrestle this cymbal. This was one that I was intending to be a different model, and it just had some weird quirks in the metal, and I had to wrestle it for a long time, so the shape shot up. And I was kind of thinking, oh, you know what, I'm gonna let that rest. It's probably not gonna be a great cymbal. And I finished it, set it aside, pulled it out a week or two later, and I was like, whoa, this is actually awesome. This actually somehow turned out really, really great. It's tall, and I was expecting it to have a ton of hums and be kind of gnarly, but it doesn't. It's tall, it's super, super thin, and I left the bell totally unlathed other than polishing it, so it's got a nice clear bell. Usually these really thin umbrella cymbals have this nasty, hollow, non-existent kind of bell, and this one has a pretty present bell because I didn't lathe it at all, so let's check this one out. It's weird, it's like the best of the umbrella style cymbals without any hums. And it's also an awesome crash too. So I did a really extreme taper on it. The bell is still integrated. It's not a separated bell by any means. It's very integrated into the sound of the overall cymbal. But yeah, it's kind of a weird, it like weirdly fits in all the right places for being such a thin cymbal, enough of a bell, tall, so it's got the umbrella ka kind of thing, but it has high frequencies that are dancing on the top that aren't being notched by the fact that it's so tall. And it's a great crash. I mean, you can use it as an awesome crash cymbal in a rock context even. So really like those. And then lastly, we got the hi-hats. These ones are very interesting. I almost perfectly matched the weights. So 834 over 835. The bottom hi-hat is tall, so umbrella shaped. The top hi-hat is a little bit lower. The bell is shaped in a very old K-esque way. These are prisms and 14-inch. Really dig how they turned out. So really thin hi-hats tend to have no foot chick. They get really hollow and nasty because of the shape of these being taller on the bottom at least, and the shape of the top one too, and the bell. I'm doing various techniques to draw out more of a clean, crisp foot chick that's high pitch enough that it could cut through the music. So you get the nice feel with those super thin weights, you get the nice feel on the hands, but you're also not sacrificing the foot sound, which will allow you to drive a band. You know, I wouldn't necessarily put these in a big band context, but for small combo jazz and even other styles too. I mean, like even beat type music or funk music. Hi-hats tend to cut, so I mean, you don't necessarily need these super chunky hi-hats to really get through the mix. I mean, the nature of hi-hats is they are going to be pretty present and forward and cutting, which is why I've never quite understood the way the major manufacturers make hi-hats, apart from just being good rock hi-hats. If you need to cut through a big stack, sure, you might need some new beats, but in most modern environments, at least the kinds that I run in, you know, I'm not ever needing a set of heavy hi-hats. So I think they work great. I really like this whole set. I would love to know which one is your favorite. So drop a comment below on that. And I've obviously got the videos showing kind of the player perspective. Right now the camera's out in front, so the mic is out in front, and you're hearing that perspective. So it's important to take into account both perspectives of the cymbal. How does the cymbal translate? That's a topic for another video. Also a topic I've covered in many videos in the past. But the last thing I want to talk about really quick is the Chicago Drum Show. We have it coming up in a couple weeks. It's basically the Friday through the Sunday. The Friday is the Cymbal Summit. On that Monday, where all the indies are going to be at the Drugan's Drum Shop to do a continuation of the show. It's going to be like 4 days of awesome independent cymbalsmith cymbals, indie cymbals, handmade cymbals, all that jazz. So hope you guys can come. I'm going to be filming a lot during that whole show, so we're going to have a lot of content coming after the show is over. But in the meantime, I wanted to post a batch of cymbals. They're available, like I said, as of the posting of this video, so you can head over to reveriedrums.com, pick them up. There's also a commission form if you want to commission me to make you a custom cymbal. You can find that on the website as well. But until next time, I'm Timothy Roberts. Drop a comment below, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and the bell if you want notifications, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.